Mooseltoe by Margie, Palatini, illustrated by Henry Cole. 'Twas the season, and Moose was merry. He joyfully tickled the ivories with a tuneful of tidings and a flurry of fa-la-las. He was so full of ho-ho-hos, even his moustache had the holiday spirit. But Moose was more than just a bit merry and bright. He was busy, busy, busy. There was a lot to be done on his list of to-dos. But with orderly organization, a bit of regimentation, lots of imagination, and just plain old Moose know-how, getting ready for the big day should have been simple, easy. Yes, in all probability, just... He wasted not one merry minute. Moose got moving and put some hustle in the holiday bustle. He went to work, he wrote cards and letters till his hooves hurt. Check. He shopped till he dropped. Check. He hauled home boxes and bags and presents galore. Moose had gifts for everyone, stacked from ceiling to floor. Check, check, check. Then he wrapped, yo, 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 and he ribboned, ho, ho, ho. And on each and every package, he tied a big, beautiful bow. Check and double check. So far, so simple, so easy, so perfectly perfect. Another look at the list, and Moose headed for the kitchen. He pulled out the pots, pans, and bowls, sifted through stacks and racks of cookbooks. He whisked with his left, spooned with his right. Moose baked tons of tins of cookies. Check. Dozens of cakes, breads, and sweets. Check, check, check. He made jellies, sticky jams. Moose roasted a goose and some chestnuts. He toasted marshmallows and yams. Check, 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 triple check. Yes, yes, so simple, so easy, but of course, so perfectly perfect. Decorations were up next on his list of things to do and get done. So Moose decked the halls, then spruced up the walls. He beaded, bowed, and mooseltoed. He gathered garlands, roped wreaths and holly, jingled bells, sang noels. Oh, good golly, this Moose was jolly. Check, 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 check. Last but not least, he hung all the stockings, each and every one with special care. And just in time, too. Soon, Santa would be there. Check and final check. Yes, sirree, getting ready for Christmas was an absolute snap. And so simple, so easy, and if he did say so himself, Moose thought totally, utterly, completely, perfectly perfect. On that night before Christmas, Mother, little Sissy, Bucky, and Junior looked all through the house. What a job Moose had done. Everything looked bountiful, festive, quite fine indeed. There was just one minor problem, if you will. Oh dear, sighed the missus as the five stared at the empty corner. Oh my, oh me, oh gee. Pop, what happened? Cried Junior. You forgot the tree. So he did all that decorating and wrapping, and he forgot the tree. Oops, where would they hang the tinsel, string the popcorn, light the lights? Where would Santa leave his gifts for the kiddies on Christmas Eve night? So Moose pulled on his galoshes and put on his hat. He would find a tree somewhere, somehow, and that's all there was to that. So out went the Moose, braving blustery, blowing winds in the cold, trudging through snowdrifts, courageous and bold. Moose first hoofed it down to the corner, not a tree to be had. Then he slid around the block. Uh-oh, things were looking bad. He went down every boulevard, street, and little road. He looked down lanes and alleyways. So here's all the Christmas tree lots, and they're all sold out of trees. Every tree had been sold. There wasn't a branch, and not a twig, not even one lousy bolus bough hanging around. Nope, nothing. Not a tree to be found. No tree, sighed a sad moose as he came home empty-handed that snowy eve. The kids tried to make the best of it. They said, "Oh, so who needs a tree?" But Moose could plainly see they were short on the glee. He knew he had to do something, and that's just what he did. In the empty corner, he stood and spread his arms out very wide. Then he smiled at his children, and he winked at his bride. "Kids," he declared, "fetch your forgetful pop some of that tried and true family glop." So back came the kids carrying a big pot of glue, and without a word to one another, they knew just what to do. They each took a part, grabbing strands, taking hold, then carefully, so carefully, they glopped, they plopped, they pasted, and they pressed. They curled and twirled every which way a follicle could fathom, until Moose's magnificent moustache was indeed even more of a marvel to see. Moose was just a few needles shy of being an evergreen tree. They strung Moose with lights from his head to his toes and draped him with tinsel beginning right with his nose. They hung balls that were shiny and bells that twinkled, candy canes, berries, and plum sugar sprinkled. Then they all stood back. Junior plugged in his pop. Ooh, ah, yes, Moose truly was one incredible sight. He was glorious and glowing, and boy, oh boy, was he ever bright. Then Junior placed the star on top of Moose's head. He gave him a kiss and a pat, and they all headed off to bed. Except Moose, of course. He stayed in the corner instead, still twinkling and blinking and waiting for Santa. Oh, so it wasn't so simple, and it wasn't so easy, and okay, it wasn't perfectly perfect. But do you know what? So there's Moose all decorated. It was pretty close. Ho, ho, ho. So the lights are out and he's shining and there's a ho, ho, ho. So that must mean Santa's there. All right, so we're gonna make our own moose. This is what we have. And the first thing I did is take a piece of light brown paper, and I traced hands and I cut them out for his antlers. And then for his face, I traced my shoe or my boot. So your moose might be smaller if your hands and feet are smaller, but I roughly traced my shoe to get the shape of his head. So I'm just going to finish cutting that out. It doesn't need to be perfect, just roughly. All right, so then we're going to glue on the hands up in the corners for the antlers. So they don't need to be perfect because, of course, in the story, the moose is sort of a little bit rumpled and disheveled with all of his decorations. So those are going to dry. Then I started decorating my moose with a little piece of holly here, but at your house, if you have sparkles or sprinkles or even bingo daubers, you can decorate all of his antlers. And so for my little piece of holly, I just used a scrap piece of felt. So you can use the puffy paper or just regular paper too if you have it. So I just cut a piece. So it's just 3 little cuts on each side, sort of curved out, kind of look like a piece of leaf on a piece of holly. So again, those don't need to be traced or perfectly cut. I just cut 3 on each side. So I'm just going to attach that. And then I'll just cut a couple of circles. Just use your scissors to roughly cut some circles out of your felt. Attach that. And then for his nose, since I had more felt left over, I just cut a large circle out of the end of the there's my nose. Attach that onto the bottom, nice big nose. Right, so you can use googly eyes if you have the nice big large googly eyes, or you can use your marker like I did. And again, since our moose in the story is kind of uncoordinated and thinks he's so planned, but he's really not. He sort of has funny looking eyes. And then I just made a little triangle up in the front for his nose. So at home, if you want to decorate him to look like Moose from the story, you can add all your sparkles and all your extra stuff to his antlers.